Good afternoon. Today is the 10th of January, and I want to follow up on the vlogs from the last couple of days, talking about some of the reasons behind the trends in the British car market for the last 12 months. So, in deference to an announcement that has just happened in the last 24 hours, we're back in the MG today. British brands over the last 12 months, some of them have done really well, some of them haven't done so well. MG, their sales are up by 103% over the last 12 months, which is, I suppose, great for them. Rolls-Royce, they've just announced they've had their most successful year ever in their 115-year history. They've sold over 4,000 cars in 2018, and that's wonderful. But other brands, like Land Rover in particular, are not doing very well. Land Rover have announced just in the last 24 hours that they're about to cut 4,500 jobs in this country. So one of the reasons why Land Rover and possibly other companies haven't been doing so well with these, larger SUVs is because of diesel, and 90% of Land Rover's vehicles sold last year were actually diesels, and diesel is down by 30% in terms of new car sales. Land Rover themselves are down about the same, about 30%, and it's easy to see why. There's the demonisation of diesel by the government. There's the London ultra-low emission zone that's coming in starting in April 2019 and it being extended in October 2021, and people just don't want to buy new diesels now unless they really need them, because there's so much uncertainty about even the new Euro 6 compliant ones. What's going to happen to those in the future? The other thing that's happening as well is that the uncertainty surrounding Brexit and what will happen after the end of March this year is affecting whether or not people will even buy cars at all. It's the same with the housing market. I mean, people probably aren't so keen to buy houses at the moment because they just don't know what implications that us leaving the European Union is going to have. I'm not saying necessarily that, a hard Brexit or a soft Brexit is good or bad. It's just we currently don't know what's going to happen, and I'm sure that had a factor in some of the new car purchasing decisions that were made last year. Something else that happened, and that this affected BMW, for example, quite a lot, was the WLTP, emission standards, which came in September 2018. Since the mid-90s in this country, we've had the new European driving cycle figures released for new cars, both in terms of average fuel consumption and CO2 emissions. And these are very unrealistic. And I've talked before, I think, about they may be even 20% or more wide of the mark. And WLTP figures are supposed to bring everything in line within the world, and to actually have a more standardised and accurate set of figures for somebody who's thinking of buying a new car. But in order to comply with these figures, manufacturers have to offer up their vehicles for testing under the new procedures. And in some cases, this just hasn't been able to happen in time. So some cars were just withdrawn from sale entirely. It's probably why Skoda stopped selling diesel Fabias, for example, because of this. But others just weren't able to go through the procedure and couldn't be sold. And so a manufacturer like BMW saw a huge drop in sales because of that. The other thing that's happening, and this is bizarrely contrary to what's happening with Land Rover, is that lots and lots of more SUVs are being sold. We saw in 2018 cars like the Vauxhall Astra fall out of the top 10 and be replaced with the Kia Sportage and the Ford Kuga and the Nissan Qashqai. and they're good cars, those three, but they're not necessarily, I'd say, outstanding, particularly in a way that something like a Ford Focus is. But it's just shows the general trend in the market is towards that, and this is why perhaps MG have been doing so well and Rolls-Royce have been doing so well, two brands with this huge increase in sales in the last years, because they've just released two very popular SUVs. One in the market, the MG ZS, is one of the cheapest SUVs that you can buy, and the Rolls-Royce Cullinan is the most expensive SUV you can buy. So when there is a market very often that is in a sort of an uncertain period, you find that more people buy luxury goods and more people buy really cheap goods. The middle ground is where you tend to lose most of the sales, and this is what seems to be happening in terms of those trends. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen in 2019, and I hope that Land Rover in particular are able to turn themselves around, and not have to lay off all these thousands of people that they're planning on doing. But yes, we'll maybe do another one of these videos at the beginning of next year and see where we are then. But as always, thank you very much indeed for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you like what you see, and if you'd like to ask me more questions or want more information, or wish for me to source a car for you, then please do get in touch via my website or by my Facebook page linked in the description below. Thank you ever so much indeed.